What if I told you there is a place in America where reality doesn't just bend, it breaks? A place so profoundly cursed that even the FBI and local law enforcement refuse to enter certain zones after dark. No, it's not the Bermuda Triangle. This is the Bridgewater Triangle, a 200-square-mile vortex of absolute terror tucked away in southeastern Massachusetts. To the unsuspecting tourist, it looks like a peaceful, historic woodland. But to the military, paranormal researchers, and the native tribes who survived it, it is a living portal to hell. For over 3 centuries, this specific patch of land has harbored things that science desperately tries to deny. Massive, unidentified creatures vanishing into thin air, ghostly orbs of light hovering above the swamps, and a series of bizarre, unexplained disappearances that the media was forced to cover up. Today, on Unheard Screams, we are pulling back the classified curtain on America's darkest geographical secret. Lock your doors and dim the lights, because out here, the woods are watching. The absolute heart of this cursed triangle is the Hockomock Swamp. In the language of the native Wampanoag tribe, Hockomock literally translates to the place where spirits dwell, or more accurately, the place of the evil spirit. The nightmares here didn't start with modern UFO sightings, they began hundreds of years ago. In the late 17th century, this swamp became the bloody battleground for King Philip's War, one of the deadliest conflicts in American history. Thousands of native warriors and English settlers were brutally slaughtered in these waters. Their blood soaked into the deep peat of the swamp, and according to legend, their restless, angry souls never left. The Wampanoag tribe officially cursed the land, declaring that no human should ever settle within its boundaries. Centuries later, modern science accidentally proved them right. Paranormal investigators tracking energy grids discovered massive electromagnetic spikes concentrated entirely inside the swamp. Compasses spin out of control, heavy camera batteries drain from 100% to 0 in a matter of seconds, and a crushing sense of dread forces even the toughest survivalists to turn back. But the dead aren't the only things hiding in the shadows of Hockomock. If you ask the locals what they fear most about the Freetown State Forest inside the triangle, they won't say ghosts. They will say the Pukwudgies. According to Algonquin folklore, Pukwudgies are ancient, gray-skinned humanoid creatures standing barely 2 to 3 feet tall. They possess a deep, malicious hatred for humanity. Witnesses who have encountered them describe smooth, leathery gray skin, oversized ears, and fingers tipped with razor-sharp claws. But their physical appearance isn't the terrifying part, it's what they can do. Pukwudgies are masters of deception. They can morph into dangerous animals, disappear at will, and use a form of dark, hypnotic magic. Their favorite trap: blinding hikers with bright, floating orbs of light, mimicking the voices of lost children, and luring unsuspecting victims to the edges of steep cliffs, forcing them to jump to their deaths. Local police logs from the 1970s and 80s contain numerous chilling files of experienced hunters found dead at the bottom of the Freetown ledges, their faces frozen in pure horror, with no footprints leading to the edge but their own. The state officially rules these as accidents, but the locals know the truth. As if the ancient curses weren't enough, the Bridgewater Triangle became a breeding ground for real-world human evil. During the late 1970s, the Freetown State Forest became the headquarters for a series of highly secretive, brutal cult rituals. Local detectives investigating cattle mutilations stumbled upon something far worse. Deep inside the woods, they uncovered makeshift stone altars covered in occult symbols, surrounded by the remains of slaughtered animals, surgically cored out with medical precision, leaving absolutely no blood on the ground. Then came the human toll. In 1979, a young woman named Mary Lou Aruda disappeared from a nearby town. Her body was later found tied to a tree deep within the Freetown Forest, arranged in a ritualistic pattern. A local man with deep ties to underground occult factions was arrested, but the dark energy of the forest only grew stronger. To this day, hikers report hearing the faint sound of rhythmic drumming deep within the restricted zones of the woods, accompanied by the distinct smell of burning sulfur. The cults may have gone underground, but the entities they summoned are still active. Perhaps the most terrifying aspect of the Bridgewater Triangle is its inclusion in the infamous missing 411 feet phenomenon. Over the past few decades, dozens of people have simply vanished inside this perimeter under completely impossible circumstances. Take the case of an experienced tracker who went into the woods in the winter of 1994. Search and rescue teams deployed tracking dogs, helicopters, and infrared cameras. The dogs picked up his scent, followed it to the middle of an open clearing, and suddenly stopped, refusing to move, whining in absolute terror. His footprints in the snow literally ended in a blank space, as if he had been lifted straight into the sky. No clothing, no gear, and no remains were ever recovered. The United States government continues to classify these dense woods as state parks, but the locals know better. Reality is thin in the Bridgewater Triangle, and if you walk off the marked paths, you might step into a dimension you can never return from. If you ever find yourself driving through southeastern Massachusetts, enjoy the historic sights. But remember, keep your windows rolled up, lock your doors, and make sure you are out before the clock strikes 5 p.m. Because once the sun sets, you are no longer the apex predator in those woods. If you survived this deep dive into America's most cursed land, hit that like button, subscribe to Unheard Screams, and drop a comment below. Do you believe in interdimensional portals? Stay safe out there, because the dark is closer than you think. Good night.